Right now, the real estate industry is under attack. What that means is that you are high on the radar of criminal hackers worldwide. They recognize that the real estate industry as a whole is unregulated in regards to how it handles data. Technology is all around us, and that's where digital literacy comes in. Like, if you don't understand all the technology at your fingertips in your environment, that you have access to, that others have access to monitor you, and how to deal with all of that, then it's just a matter of time until something is going to occur in your life or your business that is undesirable.
All right. Hey, Masters, welcome to another episode of Path to Mastery. And by the way, happy 2020. Happy New Year, my friends. And Robert, Happy New Year, man.
Thank you, sir. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for joining us. I know we met briefly at the NAR convention, and you were talking about something that's really, really important now, cybersecurity. And I'll tell you, you really caught my attention. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get there, for our listeners first, I just want to again say Happy New Year to everybody. And, I'm really, really excited, going into the new year. And, I hope you are as well. And I really look forward to hearing from you and hearing about the guests you want on the show this year. And also, I just want to give a thanks and ask you to support our sponsors, Vulcan 7, because, guys, without them, we are not even able to produce this show. And they have the best data for for sale by owners expired, the dialer systems. Check them out. Special 2-week opportunity with Vulcan 7 for only $49. Check out Vulcan 7. Guys, listen, we'll get you back to Robert. Robert Siciliano.
Very good. Yep.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Let me do your quick bio, and we'll just jump right into it. How's that sound?
That's it. Yep.
All right. Awesome. Trying to do something a little different now. And instead of doing a show and then going back and record a whole bio, see if I can make it work. I don't know. We'll see if it works. It works. No matter what, it works, right? All right. Anyway, so Robert is a #1 best-selling Amazon.com author, CEO of Safer Me. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, SAFR.me. Yep.
And also architect of CSI Protection Certification, a cyber social and identity protection security awareness training program. And you're a security expert and private investigator, fiercely committed to informing, educating, and empowering people so they can protect themselves and their loved ones from violence and crime in everyday lives, both in their physical and virtual interactions. Man, and we know how important that is today. So again, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure. As you resolve your 2020, going into the new year, digital literacy should be top of mind, meaning you should understand more about the devices that you access and the software on them and how to use them, but also how to protect them. It's no longer okay that your 14-year-old knows more about technology than you do. In order to protect the data in which you are entrusted with, your client-sensitive information, your family's identities, your social security number, you need to know how to protect your data and your devices. And that begins with digital literacy as it relates to cyber security. And the beauty is this stuff is all pretty easy. It's all basic 101 stuff, but as long as you understand the fundamentals, going forward, you'll know how to protect your identity, your client's identity, how to get a credit freeze, what is identity theft protection, what does it do, what does it not do, and like the basics like updating hardware and software, all that stuff, and we'll get into that right now.
Well, listen, again, I saw you at the NAR convention. I was really, really impressed with your presentation. Honestly, was surprised at how much value I took from the things that you shared. So you were talking to a bunch of real estate agents, salespeople. That's who's listening. Why is this important to salespeople?
Right now, the real estate industry is under attack. What that means is that you are high on the radar of criminal hackers worldwide. They recognize that the real estate industry as a whole is unregulated in regards to how it handles data. There are certainly, state and some federal laws regarding data privacy and data security, and certainly all businesses, large and small, are affected by them. But there isn't a significant or a concentration on real estate itself. As a result, bad guys know that there's no training that's occurring right now that this industry itself is required to take. And that is because major data breaches haven't occurred in a way that Congress and the Senate and feds, regulators are paying attention. Therefore, they haven't, clamped down. And when they do, it's going to cost in a number of different ways. You've all heard of GDPR.
GDPR, what is that?
So GDPR is the European Union's version of how in which Americans need to handle foreigners' information. There's a lot of regulation around that if you deal with any sensitive information for those, overseas. California has created its own rule that's based on their European GDPR. And ultimately, that means that if you're handling any Californians' information, you need to, pay attention to that rule and reg. That being said, California historically is generally the first state in the union to roll out various forms of security and privacy rules and regs. What I've seen happen over the past 20 years, and it's been 20 years of this, that once California does it, usually the other states follow suit. So as soon as California has enacted legislation in the past, I found that in New England, where I'm from, Massachusetts, was usually the second one in line to enact the same data security and privacy regulation. So I'm guessing that Massachusetts isn't far behind California. And next thing you know, it'll be New York and other states. Illinois, usually it goes into the heartland. And before you know it, all states. And then what's going to happen is the feds. The feds will enact some form of regulation that will blanket all states, that you'll be required. And right now, that's just not happening. And bad guys know this, is what it boils down to.
Sure.
And they see that email, for example, most real estate agents are using Yahoo and Hotmail and AOL and Gmail. It's a hodgepodge of unprotected, unencrypted email addresses. You might use, a username, which is a Gmail address, and a simple password, like password 1 as your password. And you're not using what's called two-factor or second-factor authentication, where you might have a mobile phone where you get a one-time passcode text to you in order to access your email. So username and password and a second factor, two-factor authentication via a one-time passcode is how you should be accessing all email. And if you don't have that in place, you are extremely vulnerable.
So that itself will help you with email. But why? Tell us why the people that are listening to this, they may not even know why that's so important. Why do we need to protect our email?
It's really important due to the fact that once bad guys get inside your email, once they get inside your email program and they monitor all of your communications, like they're literally in your email, they can read your sent, they can read you received, they can send an email as you. Once that happens, bad guys will communicate with your clients posing as you. That means that they can send wiring instructions for a closing that they know is going to happen within a couple of weeks because they're reading your email. Once they see all that taking place, they send the wiring instructions to your buyer. The buyer will wire money, 6 figures, 7 figures in some case, to the bank account of the bad guy's choosing, and that money's gone. And when that happens, number one, you're going to lose that sale. Of course, the buyer loses that money. Then the lawsuits begin. And once the lawsuits begin, it's going to cost the agent, the broker, right? It's going to cost them 6 figures or more to fix that problem, either to pay off that buyer or to fight lawsuits so that you don't have to pay off that buyer. That's a huge problem. I think right at this point, we're at somewhere between $150 and $175 million in losses just in the past couple of years. These are big, major franchises. Think of all the big real estate companies out there. They're all losing money. Their brokers, their agents are all losing money as a result of this one scam. And that's because the agents themselves aren't versed in how to prevent it. The buyers have no clue. The brokers aren't training their agents on how to prevent it in the first place. And neither the states or the feds are squeezing the brokers or the industry itself to do something about it.
Yeah, you got to imagine that's coming pretty soon, right? Something you had said at Dinar that really caught my attention was that people will get into your email and they'll just wait. You said they'll wait and they'll watch until they get the right thing. So they could be waiting for months if they have to, right?
That's exactly correct. They have plenty of time. You have to understand that the people that are doing this, They could be sitting in a hut in Ghana and they have all kinds of time on their hands. They're in an internet cafe for 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day. And all they're doing is watching and waiting for these communications to come in.
Sure.
They're scanning your inbox. They're scanning your sent email. They're going through your files and folders. They're on your computer remotely. Like once you have a virus on your machine or once your email is compromised, they just watch and wait. In these countries, maybe in the Eastern Bloc, for example, they might get, pennies on the dollar as far as minimum wage is concerned compared to what we are paid. They could spend a whole year where they might make 6 or 8 or 10 grand a year, whereas we might make, 100 or 150 grand a year. They'll make millions based on the time that they would spend for their minimum wage to access our networks, pay attention to our sent and received emails. And once they get one successful transaction, they are living happily ever after. More than you and I would ever make in a lifetime, they could make in a year.
No doubt. All right. So 2-step authentication. I set that up right after I left San Francisco.
How long have you been in the business for?
17 years.
So that just gives you, you and your audience some general ideas, like just how far behind. And it's not because you don't know what you're doing or anything. You're
I get
a responsible adult, right? But the industry is not educating, teaching its agents what to do, and that's a problem.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing it's coming, Robert, right? I mean, we were just there was a class last week here. They were talking about people having video cameras now in their homes and watching things without realtors knowing about it, which we found really interesting.
We are in a surveillance state. Technology is all around us. And that's where digital literacy comes in. Like if you don't understand all the technology at your fingertips in your environment, that you have access to, that others have access to monitor you and how to deal with all of that, then it's just a matter of time until something is going to occur in your life or your business that is undesirable. Whether that's you saying something or doing something that's being monitored remotely by somebody, whether it's a video camera or your laptop or your mobile, like you have to know what's going on. The same way if you are taking care of your body, you have to know what foods to eat, to exercise. You have to understand digital literacy in that regard as well.
So why don't we do this? Talk about what would you say are the 3 top things our listeners as real estate agents need to know going forward?
Okay, so as far as your data and your devices and protecting your hardware and your software, first and foremost, whatever machine you're on, whatever digital device you're on, whether it's a laptop or a desktop or even a mobile phone, of course, and this is common sense, but it's not common to most people, is you have to update the software. When your mobile phone says there's a new iOS operating system on its way, download it now, install it. Don't wait. Install that as quickly as possible.
Really? I did not know that.
The reason why you have to do that is, first and foremost, for security issues. Critical security patches are generally sent through these updates. And those critical security patches are because somebody discovered a vulnerability in that operating system. That vulnerability is some type of a hole that allows a bad guy to crawl through, basically. So those updates, whether it's laptop, desktop, Mac, Windows, iPhone, Android, update as soon as possible. And then any other apps that you have, software on your laptop or desktop or apps on your mobile phone, update those frequently as well, because those same mobile applications or laptop or desktop, that software can also have vulnerabilities. And all of those vulnerabilities have to be patched via updates. It's the same way if Toyota sends out a recall, the airbags are faulty, those airbags have to be replaced. Well, a vulnerability in software is the same thing. You have to update it in order to replace that vulnerability or to patch that vulnerability.
Nobody's ever explained it that way, at least not to me. And I just think it's an optional. For me, they just sent out a new update for Macs. I use everything Apple. Frankly, I don't love the update because certain things aren't working anymore with the system, but I didn't realize it was something that actually was protecting us.
Critical.
I thought it was just an optional, hey, here's a better software for you. I didn't realize it worked like that.
That's why they call them critical updates.
Got it. Okay, good to know.
Are fundamental to protecting your data and your devices. That's the first thing. Update all your software, your operating system, and the software programs themselves, all the apps, right? And then your hardware. You can't be functioning on an old desktop or an old laptop or an old mobile phone. Older hardware does not support newer software. So for example, if you have an old Dell laptop from say 2011 that might be running Windows 7, and many people do, that Windows 7 isn't even going to be supported past January of 2020, meaning that Microsoft won't be offering critical security patches for the Windows 7 operating system beyond January of 2020. So that old software won't support, say, Windows 10. So it's time to upgrade the old hardware to new hardware. So for example, I'm on a 2018 MacBook that I'm talking to you on right now. That's a pretty recent device. In 2025, this thing will be gone. It'll maybe be a media server in my home or something like that. But beyond 4 or 5, 6 years, you have to start thinking about upgrades in hardware and software, both to your mobile phones, laptops, and desktops as well. Yeah. That's 2 things. Update your software, update your hardware. And then there's password management. And by the way, there's way more than 3, but password management is huge.
Hey, Masters, listen, we're going to get you right back to the show. I appreciate you. Just want to tell you about our sponsors, Vulcan 7. Listen, they've been supporting us for a long time. Tremendous service they offer with for sale by owners, expired data. They've got a built-in system with your dialer, your calendar system, which will send you reminders. You can use it as a CRM. Everything you need to be successful with for sale by owners and expireds, as well as they have their own training, weekly calls, webinars, like I said, everything you need to be successful. Vulcan7.com/path to mastery. Right now, as a listener to Path to Mastery, there's a special. You can get their system, try out everything, guys, full suite, 2 weeks for only $49. I don't know how you beat that. If after 2 weeks you're like, wow, this isn't the best thing I've ever used, then you cancel. And clearly you have all the information you've downloaded, so you have all that data. You can't go wrong. Check them out. It's tremendous. Another opportunity for you is a book, my friends, an Audible book. I don't know who doesn't love a free book, right? So here's a great opportunity for you. Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. A tremendous book. It's helped me with focus and being able to focus on one thing and saying no to all the other things that are not in alignment with my top priorities. So check out The One Thing. Just go to davidsfreebook.com. Again, davidsfreebook.com to get yourself a free book on Audible. And again, absolutely free. And finally, we have a brand new Facebook group. It's called Path to Mastery, right? What else would it be called? Just join our group. All you need to do is request access. I will get you in to the group. It's where I share all kinds of value. These podcasts are actually released early there. There's extra information in there regarding the podcast. I do a weekly webinar. I can't tell you I do it every week, but we do training. So just a lot of value. My goal is to bring as much value as possible to the members of that group. So just join. All you need to do is go to Facebook and then search Path to Mastery and request access. We'll get you right into the group. My friends, listen, I appreciate it. And don't forget about Vulcan 7. Just go to vulcan7.com/path to mastery. My friends, enjoy the rest of this show.
Let me ask you, David, are you using what's called a password manager?
I do. I use what's called PassPack. I've been using it for years. All it does is save my passwords. It doesn't log me in, though.
Okay. So the next step up is a password manager, something that saves your passwords and it's there for you. That's a good option. But better is a password manager that's a software that you download that installs in your browser. So your browser could be Safari, it could be Chrome or Firefox or Edge or Internet Explorer. And the password manager, the software could be free to a small fee, like $20 a year, maybe $40 for life, depending on the license. It manages all your passwords. And when I say all your passwords, you should have a different password for every single account that you visit. You should never have the same password for 2 accounts. Let's just say you use the same password for 20 different accounts.
That's a lot easier than having a different password for everything, right?
Which is what most people do, right? Yeah. And the problem there is that if you use the same password for all these critical accounts, and let's just say one of those accounts gets hacked, one, meaning like that server that company uses gets penetrated. The bad guys get access inside the server and they see all the passwords for all that company's customers. And they know that your username is, thehillteam@gmail.com and your password is, password 54321. Going forward, what the bad guys will do is they'll take your username, your Gmail address, they'll take your known password that they now see in that breach, and they'll try it at, say, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or eBay, Amazon, PayPal, Best Buy. And they'll use those same credentials and they'll try to log into all these different sites. They call that credential stuffing. And they'll stuff your credentials into all of these critical websites that most of us visit on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, Expedia and so forth, American Airlines, Delta. And once they log in, they're in your account. Once they have those same credentials, it's likely that your American Airlines password is the same password that you use for Gmail. And once they're inside your Gmail, that's when they know what you're doing. That's when they're paying attention to all of your transactions. That is not okay. So that's where two-factor authentication comes in, because even if they have your username and your password, they would need to have your mobile phone in their possession in order to log in. So the password manager allows you to have a different password for all of your critical accounts. You train that password manager over time. So the password manager essentially recognizes the website you're going to. It recognizes the username. It recognizes the password. And once you're in the website, once you're in the dashboard to, say, Facebook, you go ahead and you change it to a new password that the password manager would assign you, opposed to using the same one across multiple accounts. You change up your password. The password manager generates a new password, which could be like uppercase, lowercase, numbers, characters.
Sure.
And your password manager remembers that going forward. So every time you want to go to Facebook, you go to the password manager, it automatically takes you to facebook.com to log in.
It logs you in for you. You don't have to type in the password.
You know, that is really like the top three things that you need to do right now in order to make sure that the data in which you are entrusted with is properly protected. Using a different password across multiple accounts generally can only be achieved by using a password manager, because, you know, our brains aren't going to remember all these various usernames, all these various passwords effectively, whereas a password manager does that for you. Similarly, and I said this in my presentation, like, I don't know my mother's phone number. I don't know my mother's phone number. If I look at my mobile, my mother's phone number is mom, you know? But my mobile phone remembers my mom's phone number for me. Same way my password manager remembers my passwords for me.
Sure. Well, don't tell your mom you don't remember her phone number. Question. Listen, this is kind of ironic that this happened. So I use MailChimp to email, like broadcast emails, things like that. I set up two-factor, and I recently got a new phone. I switched phones. There's an app that was on the phone that generated the codes.
The one-time passcode, yep.
Yeah, but now that I had a new phone, I did not have that. For whatever reason, that app was gone. I could not get into MailChimp. The Google worked. I was able to download a new authenticator and get a code, but the MailChimp didn't. And I didn't have that little code they sent me. And it was a frigging nightmare, dude, to get back on. And I was getting frustrated because I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, why are they making this so hard? I had to answer literally like 15 questions through their support department. It took like 3 or 4 days to get access to my account when I had my credit card information. I had everything. Why is that so difficult?
Yeah, so
like MailChimp.
I hear you. So all those questions you had to answer were called knowledge-based authentication questions, KBA. You had to answer questions based on information, knowledge that only you should possess, opposed to, say, a bad guy. And the whole idea behind that process is to make it hard for the bad guy to get access to your MailChimp account or to any other account for that matter. And in the end, security is not necessarily convenient, and it's not meant to be convenient all the time. It's meant to be convenient for you ultimately once you have everything in order, but it's not meant to be easy to penetrate for the bad guys, so it can get complicated here and there. But now that you've gone through all the rigmarole of the new phone, the new app, the updated MailChimp account, you have access to MailChimp, it's going to be hard for the bad guy to get in, to get access in the future. Once you keep proper documentation, you have everything backed up in a password manager in an Excel file, it makes the transition to new devices, to updating your accounts, to different passwords much easier. Going forward, in the future, if you ever get another phone, you have to access your MailChimp account, you're going to know going forward what to do in regards to the MailChimp issue that you faced just now, right?
No
So
doubt.
that transition will be much more seamless in the future. And frankly, that's what security is sometimes. It's not always easy. You know, it can be complicated, but once you do it once right the first time or the next time, you're better off.
Well, I also remembered they sent me an email when I did it, when I first set up the two-step, and there was a code that I was supposed to keep, which obviously I couldn't find the email because it came from like support at something.
So you take that
And
code, you put it in
yes,
your Excel file.
absolutely. You put that in your password
Yes.
folder. Yeah, 100. Yeah, of course. So I learned a lesson, right? Why does MailChimp care? And here's the interesting thing. I would not even have set that up except for MailChimp said, we'll give you 10% off your monthly fee if you set up two-step authentication.
Interesting.
So I did. Why does MailChimp care?
Because they don't want their clients being breached. If their clients are breached, you know what happens next? Everybody on your list, and you don't want to be breached either. Everybody on your list, if a bad guy gets access to your account, next thing the bad guy does is he'll email every single one of your clients posing as David Hill.
Got it. So you said earlier.
Hey, this is David. Listen, thanks for attending my podcast. By the way, I've written a new book and I'm selling this book for, short money. You can get this book for, half off, 2 for $10. Send one as a, gift to a family member or a colleague, and just, send me a credit card number right now. Now you've got, say 1,000 people get that email, and all the bad guy needs is one person to respond with a credit card number with the $5,000 limit. And that bad guy just made $5,000, because he compromised your MailChimp account.
Yeah.
Simple as
love
that.
It, man. Love it. Well, listen, I know there's so much more we could talk about right now. What should I have asked you, or what didn't we talk about that I should have brought up?
One thing that I think people should engage in right now to protect your own personal identity is something called a credit freeze. So credit freeze locks down your credit report by freezing your credit. And the way you do that is do a quick search on Google for credit freeze and then the name of each of the 3 credit bureaus one by one. So credit freeze TransUnion, credit freeze Experian, credit freeze Equifax. And once you do that, on each page of search, you'll find the website to Experian, TransUnion, Equifax on where you go to freeze your credit to make sure that once your credit's frozen, you now have control. Your social is out there. Everybody has it. Bad guys have it. It's out there. It's been stolen dozens and dozens of times in your life, actually. And so bad guys have your social. I've had criminals email me my social to show me how cool they are, right? And so your social's out there. But when you freeze your credit, it makes it difficult for the bad guy to use your social, your credit, to open up new lines of credit. So a credit freeze is fundamental. Everybody get that right now. Suggest your clients get that as well. And once you freeze your credit, you have control. In the future, the bad guy can't open up new lines of credit under your name. Credit freeze, Google it. I'm happy to email or send a link to an article I've written about that. It's pretty simple, actually.
Credit freeze. I love it. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. All right. Well, listen, how do our listeners get in touch with you, man? I live in Northborough, so
I know.
We're like 35 minutes from each other. That's pretty cool, man. We'll have to break bread sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. So check me out online. The website I would like for your viewers, listeners to go to is protectnowllc.com. So protectnowllc.com. That's where you can learn more about the cyber social identity and personal protection certification. So CSI protection. And we'll come right into your business, right into your organization, the Border Realtors Association, CE, continuing education credits, and teach all your people, all about digital literacy as it pertains to cyber, social, identity, and personal protection.
I love it. Actually, I'm meeting with our board on the 7th, so I'm going to bring that up. I think that'd be a good thing to bring into the board, man.
Roll. ProtectNowLLC.com.
Finally, if somebody's listening to this and they, maybe they're in their car or they're at the gym, what's the one thing you want to make sure that they take from this today and they implement on it?
Well, I'd say listen again, right? Because we talk kind of fast and there's a lot of information here,
sure.
Right? Digital literacy in 2020 is fundamental. You can no longer throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, my 14-year-old knows more than I do about this stuff and just give up. This is as important as getting a good night's sleep. Look, security, stability, structure, and protection is right there in the base of the triangle of hierarchy of needs, right? You need to eat and sleep and drink and all that stuff to stay alive. You need security, stability, structure, and protection. And you cannot get that in 2020 without understanding the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are understanding password management, updating your hardware, updating your software, knowing how to use all the different tools at our fingertips safely and securely.
Hey, man, thank you. I just want to say I appreciate you, and you nailed it. Thank you.
As well. Thank you so much.
Masters, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to this episode. I get it. You're ready to move on. And real quick, before you do, a couple opportunities for you. First off, I just want to, if you could give me a review It helps tremendously for rankings as well as helping us get better guests, everything. It's just awesome. So if you could, wherever you listen to podcasts, if you're on iTunes, that's amazing. If you're using Android, wherever you listen, be phenomenal. I just really say I appreciate that. I just launched a brand new Facebook group. It's really excited to get this thing going. The goal is every day bring inspirational stuff, videos, stuff that's not going to be accessible to everybody, certain trainings, opportunities, webinars, everything. So it's a free group, guys. Just go to Path to Mastery. Search Path to Mastery on Facebook. You'll find a group. Request access, and I will get you in right away. I promise you. And books. I talk about free books all the time. You probably already heard me talk about free books a million times, and I know everybody loves a free book. So just go to davidsfreebook.com on Audible. Right, go to David's Free Book. Get yourself a copy of any of the authors that we've interviewed. I mean, why not get a free book? It's free. It's amazing. davidsfreebook.com. And again, I just want to say thanks. And as you know, health and nutrition has always been number one for me. Just completed my first Ironman, guys. Lake Placid, 70.3 in the books. Goal was break 7 hours. Did it 6:49. Next year, I'm breaking 6 hours, guaranteed. I'm happy. I did my first one. I cruised through. I followed my coach's plan and cruised through. And next year, I'm going all in. Anyway, the reason I'm sharing that is because I'm on Advocare products. I've been taking them for a long time. Tremendous health and nutrition products. If you're interested in learning about the products, go to livelongersmarter.com. livelongersmarter.com. You can check out the products for energy, protein, health and nutrition, vitamins, anything you need is there. My friends, thank you, and then please give us a review. You absolutely rock, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. And if you need anything from me, shoot me an email, david@davidihill.com, or if you like, call me, 774-314-1107. Thank you.